We're going to start trimming some of this surface fat away. We're just going to come in here. Sometimes it makes more sense to get a long knife, and we're going to come in here so we can make longer swoops. And what we're doing is putting our hand up under it just to kind of push up so it's not sinking down, and we can get good, even, longer cuts that way. And if I take a little tiny bit of meat off here and there, as long as it's even, it's not going to bother me. So you can see, going with the grain, and along with the grain, I'm just slowly shaving off some of this extra fat. And I'm not going to worry about all of it, y'all. I'm just worrying about the big chunks. I'm not going to worry about a silver skin, none of that. This is going to be a good eating brisket. So a little extra fat is flavor, right? That's what they say. I believe in it too. So we're just going to go through and knock a few of those pieces off. This big chunk here, we're not going to worry too much about it. We'll make sure, see if we can get into it a little better and knock the surface of it off, and we did. Not too much though. I'm going to change over to our Gunter Wilhelm boning knife. And we'll get in here and pull this kernel out. And you'll see, we're just following the meat along the way. And once I get down to the meat on this side, I'm just going to turn and I'm going to come up. That way I can kind of follow the meat. I want to take a lot of that point meat off. Now, if you guys think I'm going to waste this, you are gravely mistaken. I don't know if you guys do, but one of my favorite things in the world these days is Vietnamese pho. And I'm going to use all these brisket trimmings, and I'm going to trim up some of the big pieces of fat off of it. But I love pho, and I've worked on making it. And I go and I'll roast these pieces and roast some shank bones and take some roasted pork shanks, and I'll make an awesome pho with barbecue. You put those two things together. You call barbecue Q a lot of times, so we're going to leave it at that. So we're going to go down to right here, and we're going to work our way down. And this is where the point and the flat come together. You see it comes up and makes a little point here where the end of the flat tails off, and there's a fat layer. And you can see that fat layer here. And we're going to try to leave that fat on the flat. Remember that. Leave the fat on the flat. And you can see on this side the line that follows along with the flat and the fat. So we're going to leave as much of that on there as we can. I'm not worried as much about it being perfect, but I want to make sure that when I get to this point, see the point here? You got fat in between, and you got flat right there. So I'm going to go down a little bit on this side. I want to make sure that I'm following the meat of the point. So following along with the point. You guys can see here. I'm trying to do it where I can see and you can see at the same time. It's kind of hard. So if I get a little bit of the point meat on there, not going to hurt my feelings. I want that fat on the flat. As you can tell, working my way along. Because I'm going to trim this point down for the burn ends. I'm going to take all the fat off the top of that anyway. So if I lose a tad bit of meat, no big deal. Follow my way along, y'all. I want to make sure I don't see any meat on this side. This came off the point. I want to see meat over here. I'm going to stay into it right there. And I'm going to follow this down. Eventually, I'm going to run out of meat. That's the idea. It stays thick here and it tails off to thin on the other end. Working my way down. Again, leaving a little bit of meat on the flat part. I'm going to go down until it runs out. And we have successfully separated it. And we'll clean these up separately. And we'll start with our goodie. Here are our pieces. That's good ground meat. So, red box. It's cooking on the red box. Let's get a rack and let's just get a good reference to the size. And there it is. You can see it'll almost fit already. So not a whole lot needs to come off. We want to trim off some of this thinner portion over here, and we'll arrange it in the corner to where it fits nicely. So we're going to trim it up so that it has a nice size to it. Not going to worry as much about it being perfect brisket for a box, because that's not what's going down. So we're going to leave as much of this as we can on this side, right? So see how thick this is? Let's do this the other way so I'm not cutting toward my hand. I'm going to go through here and trim some of this thick stuff off. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is not our competition brisket. This is just eating brisket. Why are we cooking a Snake River for eating brisket? Because we like Snake River brisket. That's why. So you got this little hump right here. I'm going to trim this off kind of flat to where it lays flat there. And we're going to go here. We looked at it and it covered most of it, but this little thin end is going to be cooked way before this thicker end is. So what we'll do is we'll come in here and we'll get our good sizing. This is typically a competition box size. Not worried as much about that. I want to get most of my brisket here. So I want to just take this thin stuff off, and that'll go on my pho broth. That's all we took off. That's going to be good in our pho. We may slice that for our pho portion. And then we'll come over to this end where we've got this thick piece of fat, and we may just kind of trim this off. As you can see, it's kind of thin on that end as well. And then where this thing comes to a point, yeah, we're going to be able to put it into the corner like that of our rib box. No problem whatsoever. Got a big chunk of fat there. Trim some of that off. Let's just square that end off a little bit. That's squared off. So that's looking nice. And then we'll just go to this end down here. And we'll cut our other end so we'll know. Whoa, who's here, bro? We're going to trim this dude off right here. So you can see it's nice and thick on that end. It's nice and marbled. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will just about fit really good on the rib box. Let's see. See what it looks like. Bam. Right on the money. So, at that point, let me get my little crispies off of there. At this point, we will take this out of the way and we will trim up our point. So we're going to pull this out. We're going to knock some of the big chunks of fat off of it. Save that for ground meat. And we'll take this. Now all we're doing, y'all, is cleaning up some big chunks of fat. Not going to worry too much about the majority of it. Not worried about how thick or thin too much of it is, other than just taking some of that down there. We don't need a ton of fat. There's a lot of fat in the point already. We don't need all of that. Some of that we're going to save, some of it we're going to chunk. We're going to peel this down, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Take off that hard big fat. Save that meat. We're going to go through here and trim some of this off. And this is going to be a little ragged. We're not going to make it perfect, y'all. Don't need it that way. This is an eating brisket. And if there's more fat on one end, somebody likes more fat, then that's for them. If there's less fat and more crispy on one end, and that's somebody what they want that, and then this is for sharing with friends and family and neighbors. Look at that. We're just going to take that off. We don't want a big chunk of fat in your mouth. If there's a little bit on there, that's what you want, but it's flavor. We're going to take this, kind of oxidize. You can see the color's changed a little bit right there on that point. It's a different type of connective tissue. It's not just fat. It's really, it may have a different off taste to it right there. So I'll go ahead and shave off some of that, because you can see it's a little different. It's oxidized and it's kind of slimy, silver skinish looking. As you can see, we're going through here and just peeling this back a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll get it to a point that I'm happy with it. I'm the one cooking it. I'm the one eating it. It's cooked the way I'm happy with it, right? You guys will like it too. All right, look at there. Got a little hanger offer there too. That little part right there will fit on the red box nicely. And we'll make some beautiful burn-ins. Look how well marbled. That's just a black label. But look at the marbling in that. We got our fat trimmed out pretty good on this side. I'm not worried too much about it. I'll take that little piece. We got a little piece right there. There we go. I ain't worried about it. I say that, but I keep whittling. How about that? Now I'm pretty happy. One more little chunk. Life will be good. There we go. Pretty well done, y'all. That's what come off the point. Just call it 2 big handfuls. And there's our flat. Pretty well done. We're going to position these. I'm going to inject them. I'm going to position this one on the bottom. It's going to be a little bit hotter. Position this one on the top. And we're probably going to have to flip them as they brown. And as they color up nicely, we're going to go ahead and wrap them up. And we're going to treat them kind of like a competition brisket after that. Just because I like the taste of it. And hot and fast, it lends itself well to that method. So we're going to get out the injector and we're going to start injecting this dude.